it's going to be a interesting finish to the season. Florida State now has to win out to get to a bowl game. It's going to be a tough ask. With the way that Van Dyke's playing, especially, we talk about Leary in the passing game. That's something that they've done extremely well on offense lately with Van Dyke. He's got a really good deep ball. And I think that's going to really challenge the secondary that FSU for Florida State. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain and be able to keep the big plays from happening. You look at Boston College; they got the quarterback back from the injury, but they didn't look phenomenal. They just look okay. And then as we were talking in the production meeting, talking before we came on, Florida's pretty close to being in shambles too. Looking at this game, what's your two big takeaways from this game? So, and we'll wrap up NC State and talk about a couple other things.
Our defensive line is one or two depth pieces away from being an elite defense line, like a top 10 defensive line in the nation. That's really my biggest takeaway. And so if we can continue and they can continue to improve, which they've been getting better, especially, like individually throughout the year, we're going to cause some issues for Miami and Florida. But the second takeaway is that only helps if we limit the mental lapses in the secondary.
Right.
So if we can stop the mental lapses in the secondary and which, to be truthful, over the last few games, they've been a lot less until this game, it reared its head again. So hopefully, I got a friend who always says that progress isn't linear. Sometimes you have dips, hopefully this game with our secondary was a dip and it ticks back up the remaining 3 weeks, a little dip and it ticks back up. And maybe it's the flu, maybe it's just an off game, whatever it is. So if our defensive line can continue to play like that and we can continue to improve in the secondary with the mental lapses, winning 3 in a row isn't impossible, if Travis comes back as well. I don't necessarily know if I would predict it.
I'm not.
But it's certainly a possibility, right?
Yep.
I'm not. Oh, I'm not. I think there's a good possibility we win the next 2 and then drop a game to Florida. But
So, real quick, let me do my due diligence. This is the post-game chop up with Nate and Steve, hosted by the Voice of College Football. Make sure that you listen in live every Wednesday to the call-in show. I'm sure our Miami buddy here will have a lot to say, leading up to that game. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at NateGreer26 at SPNoel51. If you are listening on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. Florida State loses 28-14 to NC State, dropping to 3-6 in the season. So let's talk a little bit about Chuba, and then we'll move to Miami for a couple minutes, and we'll wrap it up. So the timing of it sucks, especially with what's transpired this week. Florida State loses their starting quarterback to the flu, and midweek or early week. So Chuba wasn't there Monday or Tuesday, and there were some thoughts that maybe he was, battling the flu too, and then here you go. The announcement made that he enters the portal. There's a lot of people that are upset about it, and really challenging the decision to quit mid-season. I think that he would have been very helpful today. What are your thoughts on Chuba, packing it in and going home and looking for another school?
I agree that he could have been helpful today. But in the end, somebody with that kind of mentality to where they're not willing to stand and fight to win the position. And especially when I don't see how you look at the Florida State quarterback room and be like, oh, I don't have a chance, so I'm going to leave. Like, you got to look at it if you're him, and if you have any ounce of confidence, be like, I can win this job next year. I can be this starting quarterback at Florida State next year. Like, I don't see how you don't have a different opinion if you're him. So to me, it's like, oh, well, I'm not starting this year. And, I also wonder, because it was about the time that he entered the portal was about the time that stuff started coming out about Travis possibly not being able to play this week. So I'm like, did maybe Norvell say, all right, Milton's going to be the starter, and Chuba, you're going to be the backup, and then that kind of just set him off. I'm going into the portal. Which, if that's the case, like, are we ever going to win with that guy, anyways? Truthfully, if that's your attitude, and you're not going to sit there and fight as a quarterback to get the position when it's clearly up for grabs, because the other quarterbacks stink, like, what are we losing with that mentality? Like, that's what have we always said, Nate? We have what kind of blood?
Loser
blood. How is that not loser blood to me? So to me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Bye. That's my take. Bye. Go have someone else. And I hope he does well somewhere else. I hope he does well somewhere else. But if you don't look at this roster and be like, I can be the man next year, or, okay, well, Travis is out this game, Milton's going to start, but if I get my chance, I'm going to go out there and show him up. If that's not your attitude, I don't know. You're not very good to me anyway. So,
I think that it comes down to playing time ultimately, which is the simple, easy thought. But, my opinion is that something happened for the coaching staff to not trust that he's the guy. Something happened. We're not privy to the everyday behind the scenes stuff. But I do think that Coach Norvell has been pretty transparent in a lot of things. And I think that it's that something has happened where the coaching staff doesn't trust that he was the guy, which sucks because he was their hand-picked guy that they went after as soon as they got hired. It just didn't work out, but who knows, he injures the shoulder in camp, battles back, plays against NC State last year, has 250 yards of total offense and 2 touchdowns. Doesn't look awful. He looks like a freshman. If he doesn't re-aggravate his shoulder injury, does he start the next week? And do we look back from that? Things always have a funny way of working out. And personally, I wish Chuba a lot of luck, because it's a, something that we've had on the Unconquered Talk podcast, and, but
he's a good dude,
the timing is it's very weird. But let's go to Miami. So we got Tyler Van Dimes. NC State is awful. Miami fans are pretty confident about, after 2 weeks ago, they're ready to pack up shop, and, we're puckering their buttholes every week about what's about to transpire. So, should Miami be confident? Styles make matchups, so, give me a quick rundown of or
not sure where Nate happened, but yeah, I mean, Miami they have every right to be confident, because Florida State
I probably shouldn't hit the lead button.
Yeah, Miami has, I mean, honestly, they have every reason to be confident. They've had 3 good wins in a row, and Florida State has had 2 losses in a row. So there's every reason for Miami to be confident. And let's not forget what happened last year, 52-10. So there's every reason for Miami and their fans to be confident. So should they be? Sure. I hope they're extremely confident coming into the game, because that kind of confidence, whenever you're really truthfully not that good, doesn't usually end up well when you go into a rivalry game.
There you go,
So
Steve. Read
I
the
hope,
banner.
I hope they're very confident, and I hope the fans and Manny Clown Diaz are all very confident, because if they walk into Doak like that, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. This Florida State team is going to be hungry, and they showed tonight there's a lot of fight in this Florida State team. So, you know, Miami has some flaws that Florida State can really take advantage of. We can run the ball on. If Travis is back and we get Brady Scott out of the lineup like he was, that's one thing we didn't talk about today that I think is very hurtful. Brady Scott having to start at guard is not a good thing.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
But
Major
if we
drop off.
if we can get Gibbons or Johnson back in there at guard with the rest of the line, that's a huge help. And with Travis back, if Travis is back, we can run the ball all over Miami's defense. And even their secondary, there's big plays to be had on their against their secondary. And our receivers suck and we can't throw the ball, but we're not so bad to where we can't have a big play here and there. We've had them throughout the year. It's there, especially if our running game starts getting working, we can hit some big plays. So we can put up some points on their defense. But defensively, again, it's going to come back to if we can put pressure on Tyler, which I think we can because their offensive line is not very good. If we can put pressure on him and the defensive secondary can not have all those mental lapses, this game is for the taking for Florida State because, Miami's had a couple good wins, but like I've said, there's not a very good team in the ACC. You have a lot of average to above average teams in the ACC, and on any given Saturday, any of those teams can win. And, Pitt and Wake Forest and NC State are probably the three best, but they're not good teams. They're okay. They're average teams. And so, Miami was able to beat some of them. Okay. But Miami's an average team. Florida State, is an average team. It's just who's going to show up and who's going to make the bigger plays. So I hope they come in very, 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 very confident. I hope so.
We talked about, winning, breeding confidence. And I think that Miami is a confident team right now. And I think that, Manny Diaz is a front running coach. He's not a coach that can do jack squat when that program or his team is struggling. Miami's, they got a quarterback who can throw the ball real well. They've done a good job of opening up the offense for him and letting him stretch the field. But at the same time, I think that, I think you do get Travis back next week. And it's going to be a really big challenge for Miami to stop the run. I think that, Florida State can match up well with their front seven. I don't think they have defensive ends like they had last year that can get after the quarterback. Other than, Nessa Savara, whatever is Savera, I can't name a starter for Miami's front four. I think that their linebackers is a mismatch for FSU's running backs. I think that if you can get Toa Philly back, I think he can create some havoc on offense for them. And Bolton's out, and that's a big loss for them. But it's going to come down to FSU's ability to throw the ball, like we've said for 4 weeks now. You got to be able to stay balanced. This isn't Miami of last year, starting Tate Rodemaker in Miami without Norvell. Let's call that what it is. Yeah, Florida State had a 52-10 win. That's great. Congratulations to Miami. But this is Miami is just as fragile mentally as any team in the country.
I forgot Tate started that game.
Yeah. So we've seen that teams that punch them in the mouth, they tuck tail and leave. But my final thought: this is a must-win for Norvell. You can't lose this Miami team, and you especially can't lose ugly. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. I will never ever pick Miami to beat Florida State, even if they're significantly better. But this is not a significantly better team, irregardless of the record. Take the record out of it; it's not. But it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. But